Hey, welcome to Our Defining Moments. I'm your host, Mary McClements. In this podcast, I talk with people about the split-second moments in their lives that sent them in directions that they never expected. From the woods of Vermont to the streets of San Francisco to the Camino de Santiago in Spain, you may be astonished by the chain reactions these moments have had not only for my guests, but for those around them. Hello, lovely listeners, fine folk. It's a rare sunny day here in Vermont, and I'm in a particularly good mood because of that. I love it. You just meet my laughter. So today on Our Defining Moments, I'll be talking with Coach Dave Buck. Coach Dave is an MBA. He's a master certified coach and the CEO of CoachVille, the original global online community for coaches with over 36,000 members, which I think is probably higher. I don't know.
It's in that ballpark.
Okay. That's a lot.
They come, they go. It's about that.
So more or less 36,000 members in over 70 countries. Coach Dave is, I would say, a leading visionary voice of professional coaching. And he collaborated with Thomas Leonard, the air quotes founding father. I don't even know if the air quotes are necessary, but the founding father of professional life and business coaching, who founded CoachVille in 2000. Mm-hmm. And this is a really cool tidbit that I did not know about Coach Dave. In a 2008 independent global survey of 10,000 professional coaches, in this survey, Coach Dave was named the 7th most influential person in the history of professional coaching. I didn't know this. You are very cool.
Yeah. Yes. And Tony Robbins is number 8. So I hope that in great pride that I am one notch above Tony Robbins.
I'm happy for that. Coach Dave isn't just a teacher of life and business coaching. He was also the assistant men's soccer coach at Seton Hall University for 14 seasons, serving under U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame of coach Manny Shelshay.
Well done. You said his name right.
Thank you. And I didn't even practice. He has coached many, many players that became professional soccer players. And one last tidbit about Coach Dave Buck is that Dave also sang in coffee houses and fronted a big band. So
Indeed.
Much diversity in experiences and strengths. Welcome, Coach Dave.
The amazing Mary.
Oh, no.
Podcaster extraordinaire.
Yeah,
it's
well,
awesome to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I owe getting this podcast up off the ground to you and your coaching. So thank you.
Team play for transformation.
Oh my gosh, right? So Dave, since the first call that I was on with you when I took classes at CoachVille to become a coach, I felt like you were one of my tribe. And there's the air quotes again.
All right.
I say this mostly because I think we have a similar energy. And this isn't to pat myself on the back, but you get just as excited. Okay. Well, I'm describing myself and I always feel kind of embarrassed about that or small about that. But you get just as excited about things and people as I do. And I don't think I've ever verbalized that connection, but I have felt it for some years. And you don't have to feel the same way, but you laugh easily, you're positive, you're open to new ideas, and you are what I would call a multi-potentialite. I don't know if you know what that is.
This is a true fact. I am for sure a multi-potentialite. Yes.
I love it. So though we're not here today to only talk about how amazing you are and what you've achieved in your life, we're here, of course, to hear about a defining moment that happened to you at the age of 12.
Yes.
And I don't know, may have significantly shaped who you are and how you move through life.
Well, that would be the nature of a defining moment.
Yeah. And I think some people's defining moments changes their life completely. And they're very aware of it. And some, it's all over the board. So are you ready?
Ready. Go.
You're always ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm going to do the interview a little bit different. I think I had mentioned to you before that I tend to, ask a lot of questions about someone's background. And then I get to the defining moment and then I ask more questions. I definitely want to hear a little more about your childhood, but I'm also really ready for you to speak about your defining moment because I have so many questions.
All right. Whatever it's your show.
Yeah. So a little bit about your childhood. Like, where'd you grow up?
Oh, well, I grew up in the lovely little town of Freehold, New Jersey, which is also the home of Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, right.
So if you ever heard Bruce Springsteen's little tune that he sang, My Hometown.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's the same hometown. If you hear the song, it's my hometown also.
Nice.
So yeah, little town of Freehold. And this little town of Freehold is right next to another little town called Colts Neck. Colts Neck is where my father's family lived for many generations. So yeah, it's a cute little town, big wide street. Yeah, but also, a very fascinating town in many ways, as Bruce Springsteen describes in the song. It's a very racially diverse little town.
Great.
It's kind of weird for small towns. Usually small towns are not racially diverse in America, but this one, Freehold, is a racially diverse town. And so that created some very interesting dynamics.
Yeah. And is it still to this day?
It is. It is. Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be the way of small towns that were once racially diverse. They tend to become not racially diverse. So it's nice to hear that it still is.
Yes, it still is. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Good. So you have a family, you have sisters. Yes.
Yes, I do. This defining moment that I shared with you in my email, when this happened, I had 2 younger sisters. I now have 3 younger sisters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There was a late arrival in our family.
So I know the gist of your defining moment.
Yeah, sure.
And as a lead up, I know that you and your family went to church. Describe, was that just a casual thing? Was it?
Well, this is a great question. In this little town of Freehold, there are many churches, and we had one that just was on the street that we lived in. It was just up the street. Somehow I don't know how this transpired, but this was the church we were attending. And
was it religion out of context?
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
Christian churches are kind of quirky. This was a Presbyterian church. And please do not ask me to explain Presbyterianism because I could not. But this was a Presbyterian church. It was like a thing where most people in town went to one of the churches. It was a cultural thing. So I would describe my childhood as participating in church as like a cultural phenomenon, and my parents are both very musical. They met in a music conservatory, so they were in the choir. They were, very active participants in the choir. I sang in the youth choir. And so, we were just always doing things at the church. It was just what we were doing.
Did you have friends from the church? Were your families would get together from the church? Some you went to school with?
It was definitely a cultural phenomenon. It was a thing but I also had many neighbors around town because this was a small town. So it seems strange now, but my mom basically from the time I was 4 just said, go out and play. Yeah. That was it. Just so go out and play. And I was there with all the other kids and we were just playing all the time, mostly sports, but all kind of other things depending on who was playing.
Yeah. I love it. Oh my gosh. It sounds like the, quintessential American town.
Small town American life. 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Everything felt safe. And then one day, well, of course, I want you to tell the story. So your family, they go to church you go to church every week. You're pretty involved and you live in this small town and okay, take it away.
All right. Well, this is the gist of what happened was my dad seemed to be in some sort of personal crisis. I don't know what the cause of the personal crisis was, but something was deeply troubling him. And
wait, hold on a second. You're 12. What were the cues that something was deeply troubling him?
Well, the big cue was one night at dinner, there was flying plates of spaghetti. That was the biggest clue.
Yeah.
plates of spaghetti flying across the room, smashing into the wall. My mom and dad were on opposite sides of the table. I'm on one side, my two sisters on the other side. The plates are flying. We're hiding underneath the table. Then we ran out of there and hid down in the basement. Why do we, it's like the horror film. Don't go in the basement.
Yeah.
Get out of there. So anyway, we ran into the basement. I don't know why, but anyhow, yeah. So that was the sign that there was some stress and trouble that we had not experienced before in my happy little home.
Okay.
So and my dad seemed to be under a lot of stress. He seemed to be like really upset about something. So anyway, within a few days of this scenario or this situation, or as this situation was unfolding, and again, I don't know what the cause was, and I still don't know, but my dad went from being a cultural participant in the Christian church to undergoing some change to becoming what is often called a born again Christian. Intense born again Christian. Yeah. So this is happening. And so he's having lots of conversations with the family and telling us about it. And this part is a little fuzzy to me, but somehow, so at one point within a few days of this, I'm in bed and my dad comes in, which was not uncommon. My dad came in to say goodnight to me since I was a child. So this, not all the time, but many times. Yeah. So anyway, my dad comes in, and he's got his Christian Bible with him. And he's like, all right, Dave, you were born a sinner. You need to be saved by Jesus Christ the Lord. And you need to accept the Lord. I've accepted the Lord. Your mother has accepted the Lord. Your sisters have accepted the Lord. Gosh. Now we're waiting for you to accept the Lord so that we can all be together.
Wow. So, like together in the afterlife or together as a unified front?
I was a little confused by this. I wasn't quite sure if he meant now or in the afterlife. For sure in the afterlife, but I got the idea that this needed to happen now. Yeah. So anyway, so I say to my dad, I don't believe this. So I'm 12. I'm a little dude, right? So it's like, I don't believe this. So then my dad starts reading me some verses from the Bible. He was prepared.
He was prepared. He knew you were going to say, I don't believe it, Pops.
Yeah. He knew I was going to say something. So he starts reading me some verses from the Bible, Christian Bible. The thing about this was I had already read the Bible. Yeah. We'd been going to this Christian church for as long as I can remember. I'm a good reader. I was reading a lot of books by that time. So by the age of 12, I had read the thing.
You're a good reader, just not a good believer.
Well, this is the thing. I read the book, and even as a small person, when I was 9, 10, 11, I'm reading this book, and I had come to my own conclusion that this book is not God. Yeah. Wow. It's not. Like, this is not God. There's no way this character in this book is God. There's no way that's possible. So he's reading me from the book, and I'm like, why are you reading me this book? That book is not God. Yeah. So he was I didn't say this to him specifically. I just said, Dad, no, it's not for me. I don't know what else to tell you. But, as a 12-year-old, this was a very strange thing to do and say. So I say this to my dad. I don't believe this. I don't think I'm born a sinner. It's just not for me. So he gets up and walks out of the room. I hear him saying some prayers outside of the door. This was what it sounded like. And so the good news is he did not ship me off to a military school.
That's good news. I can't imagine.
Yeah. So I was still welcomed in the house, but it was then definitely very tense. Yeah. There was, like my mom and dad and my two sisters were one team and I was the other team. That was kind of like I was on the heathen team. And they were the good people team. So it was very tense in my household from that time until I went off to college. Yeah. Which was quite a few years later.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably 6, 7 years. Yeah.
6 years, something like that. Yeah.
When I read this, I was really just astounded that a 12-year-old I mean, I'm not astounded because it's you, but I'm just any 12-year-old.
A quirky 12-year-old for sure.
That's not surprising either. That you were able to say to your father definitively, I don't believe this. And so I feel like you must have felt some safety and confidence in your family to say, nope, I don't believe this.
This is a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that is true.
Yeah. And where did that safety come from?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was definitely my mom would describe as even more Christian than my dad, but she was also more open, I guess. That's a whole different story, really, because that's a whole story. My mom is a beacher. My mom is a beacher. Yeah.
Like she goes to the beach.
No, she's the Beecher family.
Oh,
Henry Ward Beecher, Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Oh my gosh.
And so my mom is a Beecher, and Henry Ward Beecher was the most famous preacher in America in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And he was the first preacher who preached every Sunday to capacity crowds of 3,000-4,000 people in his church in Brooklyn about the love of God, not the wrath of God. And he definitively challenged the notion of original sin.
Wow.
He was like a preacher, a well-known preacher who did not believe in original sin. I don't know how you do this, but anyway, this was Henry Ward Beecher. He was a famous abolitionist, suffragist.
Oh my God.
He was an amazing dude. Anyway, so my mom's a Beecher. Yeah. So she had this kind of Christian vibe that was different than the vibe of my dad. When he became a born-again Christian, he was all wrath of God. You're going to hell. He really went down the dark side.
It's interesting. My best friend, when I was really worried about my children and their relationship with their father, which was not a good one, my best friend would say, all they need is one person and they're going to be okay. Yeah. And I clung on to that. I still do. And it sounds like, it's a true story. Yeah. Like your mom may have been that one person. You may have had others, but like in your formative years, mom sounds like solid. And the fact that she's a Beecher, that's amazing. And I think it's very much part of the story because you also are a Beecher.
Yes, correct. Yeah. No, this is very true. I'm definitely a Beecher.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Okay. So you're 12. Your parents had a throwdown fight. Spaghetti was sacrificed, and like you're scared bejesus out of you and your sisters. And then it sounds like, I don't know how long it was between then and when your dad came to your bedroom.
But it was within a few days. This all happened in a very tight time frame.
Yeah.
Where this big shift happened in the family.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. And he clearly went to your sisters first, get the thumbs up or whatever happened.
I'm not sure how that happened. It seemed like, I do think so, because I could hear him in my sister's room over the nights before, like talking with them, and they seemed all in or whatever. But my sisters were younger. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
You're 7 years old. You're not going to say no to your father. 10 years old, 7 years old. So I don't know. I was just old enough I have to imagine, even if this would have happened when I was 10 years old, I still would have said, no, I'm not down with this. Because by then I had read the book.
The book. And I think Presbyterian is like Catholic light, like very light.
Yeah, very light.
Yeah. So just some logistical things. So did your family continue to go to the same church?
Well, yes. For a few years, I'm going to say, I still went to the church too, because all my friends were there. Right. So
you were allowed to go. Your family allowed you to go.
Yeah, I went, but maybe only for another year or so. Then I started sort of drifting. This is all a crazy concoction of stories, but around this same time, I don't know, life is very mysterious. So around the same time, I saw soccer being played for the first time.
Oh.
And I fell madly in love with this game for no explainable reason, because I had played every other sport that you could play all the time, but I had never seen soccer, never played soccer. My dad had never played soccer. My dad taught me all the sports. He's a very sports loving person. So anyway, I saw soccer and absolutely fell in love with this game and wanted to play. So by the time I was 13, I was pretty good. And I made what's called the traveling team. And our games were on Sunday mornings.
Oh.
So this was like a thing. Like, I'm not going to church anymore. I got games.
Yeah.
And so my dad, being a sports lover and happy that I made the traveling team, but not happy that I wasn't going to be going to church anymore. This was an area of conflict, but he let it go. Thank goodness.
Wow.
So anyway, so I still went to church occasionally when we didn't have a game, but that was only for another year or two. Now, my dad became very discouraged by the Presbyterian church. They were not wrathful enough for him. So, and then, my dad was very judgy, like they're not real Christians. They don't love the Lord. And then he took my mom off to some more radical Baptist church.
Wow.
Down another street.
Yeah.
So he went down his own path from there.
Literally and figuratively. Yes. Wow.
Correct.
Wow. So that many people across the globe decide at some point in their lives to not be involved in religion at all.
Yes, more and more.
Yeah. Some shun it completely, whether it's Christianity or another sect. When you think of if you can imagine highly religious Christian people or born again Christians, do you have a visceral reaction at all to it now as an adult?
Well, as an adult is a long period of time.
Okay. Now in your life, or
I would say in my 20s, I was pretty agitated by it all.
That's a good word. Agitated.
Yeah. Agitated. Yep. I was pretty agitated. Like, this is not good. Then I started doing my own a lot of personal growth work and found my own path and that sort of thing. And I came to have much more understanding of my dad. Like, he needed the path he was on. So I had respect for the path that he chose, and he did well for himself in his life. Can't argue with his success, in the world. He's done well. So I had a much more open idea about it all for decades. Presently, however, so we're recording this in 2023.
Yes, I believe so.
I believe that radical Christianity is just as dangerous as radical Islam, as just as dangerous as radical Judaism. Yeah. And that the folks that are really bought into radical versions of these three versions of monotheism are dangerous.
Yeah.
They're dangerous. They're literally dangerous to humanity.
We're going to take a short break now to hear from our sponsor, Take Passage Coaching. This is still Mary, and I happen to be the owner and lead coach of Take Passage Coaching, and I'm thrilled I asked myself to be my own sponsor. Seriously though, Take Passage Coaching is a trauma-informed transformational coaching practice that supports people who are ready to move from uncertainty and doubt to the ability to clarify what they expect from themselves. At Take Passage Coaching, I work with clients to help them look at their negative thoughts not as the messy parts of themselves to stuff away, but how to use those thoughts as fuel. I know you've probably heard all of the promises before, and you may have been working on your stuff for ages with not much progress. But one reason why Take Passage Coaching is different is that I celebrate all of your messy parts, the parts you're embarrassed about, the things you may consider weaknesses, and I help you to see them that they are all gifts and they are all strengths. So whether you're someone who has experienced trauma, and if you're human, you have, or are ready to do the scary things in life that you've been telling yourself you can't, Take Passage Coaching is ready to help you with the transition and change that you want. So go ahead and reach out to takepassagecoaching.com to book a free exploratory session, and take good care. My father, who's very much in my mind all the time, would say to me so we grew up Presbyterian, but we didn't really go to church. We went on like Christmas Eve. And interestingly enough, my dad had gone to seminary school. Wow. And a year into it was like, this is bullshit, and quit. But anyway, he would say to me, when I was really excited and enthusiastic about something, he would call me overzealous. And he would say, you can't trust somebody who's a zealot because they aren't of right mind, something along those lines. And I understand now, like, oh, what does that mean? It's like, from my perspective, your ability to think clearly and objectively is lessened when you are a radical anything.
Sure.
Christian, I don't know. That's my thought for the day.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. So it's a conundrum for sure, because especially in the field of coaching, we really cultivate and practice judgment-free awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a it's not strange, but there comes a point where there's some kind of a point of no return where say, yes, I'm judgment free. I'm great with people making their own choices and choosing what they want to believe. And that's awesome until people make choices that declare themselves able to control the choices of other people.
Right.
And then that's no longer okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very well said.
I'm not judgment free about authoritarian control and fascism. Yeah. I'm not judgment free about that. That's not good.
Yeah.
It's a conundrum for sure. I think about it all the time.
So I think you are a fairly spiritual person.
Yeah.
When I think of church, any type of religious people, they go because they want to belong. They want to have community. They're looking for answers.
Sure.
Do you seek those same things in other ways?
I probably did for quite a while. My 30s, for sure. I was definitely a seeker. I am no longer seeking. I am just open to the idea that it is so freaking mysterious and I don't need to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you think about the earth, even, it's preposterous.
Yeah. Yes.
On the one hand, you say, it can't be evolution. Like, there's no way evolution came up with panda bears over here and koala bears over there and grizzly bears over there. There's no way that's some random evolutionary development. Something had to be going on behind that. 30,000 different kinds of frogs. I mean, come on. Who would think of that? No one would think of that. So it doesn't seem like it could be random evolution, but also I don't know how the heck it happened and I don't even need to care. So I let it go. Like, awesome. There's some mysterious force.
It's magical.
It's mysterious. I don't need to know what it is. What I'm really focused on is uplifting the humans.
Yeah.
We got to figure this thing out because we are on a combustible path.
Yes.
It's in the next 50 years, it's either going to burn to the freaking ground or we're going to figure this thing out. So
I think it already is burning to the ground.
It's burning. Yeah. There's no question about that. It's literally on fire.
And I think that is human impact on the earth, on the world. And I think there's some evolution in there. So that's another conversation I'd love to have with you off mic. About evolution.
Different story. But, totally. But the thing is, I think, I tried to, at CoachVille, we have folks from all around the world. So I've definitely gotten better, which is not easy as a person born in America. We just have sort of get this idea that America is the whole world, like America is the world and it's not the world. So it takes a while to let go of the American exceptionalism we were indoctrinated into.
Yes.
We're not that exceptional.
Right.
But given the influence of America in the world, if America becomes a fascist state, which it's on track to do, within the next 10 years. If America becomes a fascist state, I'm not optimistic about the course of humanity.
Yeah, I feel like there's already not really a democracy. But again...
it hasn't been a democracy for 40 years.
I love this. These are the conversations I would never bring up at the Thanksgiving table.
No.
Religion, politics, we're touching them all. Evolution. So how do you think you have lived your life differently than if you had not said no to your dad? What do you think you would still be? Yeah.
It's impossible to even figure out what my life would be had I been more influenceable at that time. I don't even know. I can't even imagine my life down that path. But for sure, the path that I chose, choosing to believe what felt right to me and not, this is a human thing that our beliefs are pretty mysterious as well. And mostly what we believe because someone else wants us to believe it, right? That's the nature. But every once in a while, we make our own choices, and that's a human nature superpower. We can choose our own beliefs, but it takes some doing. And
it does take some doing, yeah.
But anyway, so I, for sure, just to answer your question, that path of choosing for myself and then finding my own path of personal growth and being, you asked about being a seeker. I was a seeker of spiritual knowledge for probably a decade or two. But that kind of then morphed into just being a seeker of like, how can humans live well together? Like, how do we really live well together? And so that's been my path. And the thing that's, I think, been most influential for me over the last 10 years is because of my saying no to the Christian faith, I have become, in the last 10 years, really an avid explorer of human life before monotheism existed.
Oh, wow.
Like really trying to understand hunter-gatherer cultures and how they treated each other, how they lived. And I think we have so much we can learn from the hunter-gatherer ways, and understanding how we are who we are as human beings. The more you understand how humans live for however many years you want to call it, 1 million or 70,000, you pick whichever number you want. But humans were hunter-gatherers for most of human history. It's only in the last few thousand years that monotheism was a thing.
Yeah.
So,
have you read the book Sapiens?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So blew my mind. Yeah. I learned so much. I remember when my kids asked me, like, why aren't apes still evolving into humans? I was like, this is 20 or 15 years ago. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
It's a good damn question.
Yeah. And Sapiens answered it for me. It was just great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I highly
Sapiens was awesome.
Book.
And then the other book that literally changed my life, and I wouldn't say that about very many books, but this is a whole other story. I won't get into the gory details, but on a random day at a bed and breakfast on Block Island, I found the book, The Continuum Concept.
It's called The Continuum Concept. Okay.
Yes. It just was on a bookshelf next to all the Danielle Steele novels.
Oh my God. Light beach reading.
Yeah. Like, what? Yeah. What? So I find this book, and it's basically this woman who got lost in the Amazon and was sort of taken in by a tribe that was living a basic Stone Age life. And she spent a few years there with them, observing them and living with them and being a part of their tribe, and realized, wow, these humans are totally different than the humans I am around. They have no stress. They're joyful. They love each other. They treat each other with respect. They treat the earth with respect. Everyone is happy. Everyone just honors each other's humanity every day. They think life is awesome. Yeah. Why don't the humans I live with feel like that? What happened to us? So it's a fascinating read.
Oh, so good. So good.
So that definitely gave me a lot of awareness of, oh, I get it. We need to find a way to restore our respect for human nature in how we live.
And do you think that that's what your father was trying to do also by becoming a born again Christian? Or was it
no, I don't
safety
think so.
Or fear? Or what was it?
I think it's fear.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, my sense of monotheism in the three major religions that are monotheistic is it's about controlling human nature.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder if there was a connection there. Like, you're doing this. I don't know if seeking is the word, but understanding, like, you're like a human peace seeker, right? How do we work together? How do we treat the earth well?
How do things have the path? I don't know. My path of personal growth led me to coaching. And my being a coach, and whatever the strange random circumstances that had me have this combination of being an entrepreneur since I was a child and becoming a coach. So then having a very successful coaching business and coaching 1,000 people. When you put yourself into the mix of 1,000 human beings trying to help them live their dreams, you learn a lot about humanity really fast.
Yeah.
You know? And so you start looking for answers, like, why are people so stuck,
angry,
frustrated, addiction, trying to control each other.
Like they're wronged all the time.
It's feeling small, feeling like they don't have worth, they don't have value. I'm like, how did this happen to us?
Social media.
This all happened before social media. Social media just made it 100 times worse.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was that searching for answers for being a coach for humans is what has been my catalyst of everything I've discovered.
Yeah. And I wonder if I had asked you this same question in your 20s or 30s, and you don't need to answer this, but just posing my curiosity. Like, what would
Yes.
your answer have been then? So what do you think, this is kind of along the same lines, but not really, is what do you think is there a direct correlation between being shunned by your family religiously? I don't know if that's the best way to put it.
It was in that ballpark. I was definitely the black sheep
Pariah
of the family or whatever, right?
Yeah. So do you think there's a direct correlation between that shunning, that event, you being the black sheep of the family, to coaching, whether it be sports or life business coaching? Like, where's the connection?
Well, it's a good question. I think the connection is being someone who at a young age took a stand to choose my own beliefs. And then that led me to being someone who started looking for clues, right? How to live well, how to be a great person, how to love people, how to help, how to live a successful, joyful life. I was looking for these clues. That's what led me to becoming a coach. Like I was figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
I was a light in the world. People would always, want to talk to me about life because I was figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
That's what led me to become a coach.
Yeah. You were able to come up with that direct correlation pretty quickly. I'm curious, are you in contact with your parents still?
I had a feeling you were going to ask me that. I have had some good times with my parents over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, we've had times of being close and times of not being that close. So going back to the original event and then being a teenager, and that was a pretty troubled situation. But then since I left and crafted my own life, I definitely have had good connections with both my parents for periods of time, really good connections. Lately, no. My dad is an avid Trump supporter.
Oof.
And my mom just goes along for the ride.
They're still married.
And so,
I
not
get
so
it.
much.
Yeah. There's a phrase for that, like very intelligent people who are bamboozled by Fox News and Trump, and like they just
For
don't.
sure.
Not
My
seeing,
dad
I forget what it's called.
only watches Fox News.
Yeah. Same with when my father was alive, the same. Did you ever feel like you needed to forgive them? Or
No.
you forgive your father? No?
No, that's an interesting question. I don't think I would choose that word.
Yeah. What word might you choose?
I think it was, I think more accept. Just accept them for who they are and their choices. And, like I said, I, for a very long time, had a very peaceful interpretation of my parents and, accepting them for their choices and their beliefs. It's only in the last, 5-7 years since the radicalization of Christians, some Christians that has to the point where now they're dangerous. So now I'm not so peaceful about it. But
and I feel like to forgive somebody, I think there has to be maybe an initial feeling of that, a feeling that you've been wronged.
Yes, and I don't feel that I've been wronged.
That's amazing. I mean,
no, I don't feel that at all.
Right. So what about, I mean, it sounds like, and maybe I'm totally off base here, but it sounds conditional on your father's behalf. You do this and you're part of the family. We'll see you in heaven. Or if you don't do this, then you won't. And you're just going to be on the periphery here.
That's pretty accurate. I mean, I would say that's how they perceive the situation. Life is pretty funny.
It's mysterious, as you have said.
Life is pretty mysterious.
Yeah.
My sisters are troubled. My dad asked me to be the, executor of the will.
Oh.
I'm the responsible one. Done well. And I'm a incredibly loving human.
Yeah.
So I think there's some appreciation of that. It's like, well, he's not a Christian, but he sure is really good to people. So I guess he must be kind of okay.
Yeah, he must be doing something right.
He's doing something kind of right. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm very mysterious to them. They don't understand how I could be joyful and loving
without God.
Yeah.
Wasn't Jesus a soccer player?
I don't know, but you'd have to think yes.
I know, right? I can just see him playing soccer or her or, So Dave Buck, what question am I not asking that you wish I asked you?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow. What question did you not ask me? Yeah. All right. Well, you should ask me, what's next?
Okay. Yeah. So Dave, I have one last question.
Yeah. Okay.
What's next?
I'm so glad you asked me that.
Yeah.
Well, how do I say what's next? All right. I have a book in the works. I have many books in the works, but some are particularly about coaching, but I have one that's definitively not a coaching book. It's about life. And the title of the book is You Were Born Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the working title of the book. And it's basically a book about the don't believe in original sin.
I was going to say, do you realize you were born a sinner and you were born awesome? Or
that's intentional.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought so, but I wanted to point it out.
Yeah, no, it's basically no, you were born awesome. And this goes well beyond Christianity or anything like that. It's like all the neurodivergence and everything in our culture is aimed at, there's something wrong with you and we've got to fix it. And the basic premise of the book, what I've discovered is that humans attempting to control other humans in any way is the cause of all of these problems. It's not the solution. Yeah. It's the cause. Like all the solution programs. Oh, you got to get your thoughts under control. You got to get your beliefs under control. You got to get your ego under control.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you don't.
And then you have to change yourself while you're doing all those things.
No, stop all that.
Yeah.
The way to live a great life is to stop controlling and tap into the awesomeness that you were born with. Find your inner hunter-gatherer. That's the human you got to find.
Yeah. And I know you talk a lot about being playful, like go out and play, let's go play. And I love that. And since I've met you however many years ago, I make a concerted effort to each week or every few weeks say, okay, what have I done that has been play? Just play.
Nice.
And it has really, I was always a very, very playful child, a playful adult, but it's like, the intentionality of play is so important.
Yes.
And so I love it.
And that's this idea that you were born awesome is just taking that idea of bringing the spirit of play back to our lives and just pushing it out, because there's more to this than playfulness. Playfulness is just part of it.
Yeah.
So I've come up with this little model about 6 superpowers of human nature and
very
how to tap into them. It's really good. It's really, really good. And I'm excited to share it.
Great.
And it's definitely, how do I say it, a touchy subject. It's going to be intense because there's a lot of folks that definitely believe that we were not born awesome. Yeah. So it will be definitely something that a lot of people will not like.
Oh, I can't wait. And and right. You as Dave Buck are never going to write a book that everyone is like, yes, I agree with that.
That's not possible.
And you don't want to. Wow. Well, I'm really excited for that. When does it come out?
It's going to be this year. It's going to be 2023 for sure. Great. It's well on its way.
So You Were Born Awesome. I will put that on the episode notes.
Yes.
Yes. So, wow, I love your story. It's fascinating. I think what I love more about it is that from that defining moment, I see the direct correlation between that defining moment and launching you into a life of but understanding how people can get along better and how can we can treat the earth better. And you did it without Christianity. And you are, I confidently can say you are a lovely, joyful person. It's not a front. It's not. And when I first met you, I was like, is this guy for real? Is he this enthusiastic? And then I met you in person and I was like, oh my God, he is. It was for real. So anyway, I'm going on and on, but this is all to say that I feel so fortunate that you have been here with me today and shared your story. It was
great. It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I keep seeking the clues and
it's a treasure map. You just got to keep looking for clues.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you for being awesome.
Oh, thanks.
And making your podcast.
Yeah, right?
It's a dream come true.
It is a dream come true, and it was because of your awesomeness that I made it happen. So we can play ping pong a lot on this. We're awesome. How's that?
I'll accept the team play acknowledgement. Yeah,
All
but
right.
I'm very excited for you. You're brilliant.
Oh,
It's great what you're doing. Having people share these stories is so important in the world. So keep going.
thanks. Thank you so much. What an honor. All right. Take care,
all right.
and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
This has been Our Defining Moments with Mary McClements. I'm back next week with more stories of moments in time that changed someone's life forever. Please rate and review the show and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you have a defining moment and want to share, head over to the Our Defining Moment website at ourdefiningmoments.com and click on Share a Moment. I'm always interested in people's stories, and I may feature you on the podcast.